And welcome. Number 204. No coffee today. Tea. Because we're in the UK. So let's, I don't know, win in Rome. Delicious. This internet should be fast enough to do this. Might get a little pixelated every now and then. I don't know. We'll see. I paid for the high-speed internet, which is decidedly not high speed. But how's everybody doing? Man, all right, so what's been going on? We did, if you saw last week's live, we were on the bus. I think we were at the end of a 4-show stretch then, and then we had, we're already into the next 4 shows. I don't know. Anyway, we did 3 or 4 days of rehearsal, 4 shows in a row, 1 day off, 4 shows in a row. That's what we've done so far. And after yesterday, I was just like knackered. So it feels good to have a day off today. I've done nothing today. It was awesome. Went for a Sunday roast, and it was good. Delicious. What else we got going on here? What are we talking about? Aloha, guitar nerd, says somebody in Hawaii, I would assume. Ian wants to know the scoop on my guitar that's in the thumbnail and was in the source audio video. I can tell you a little bit. I'll leave that for a little later. Just to, I don't know, create some sort of sense of excitement. What else we got here? Tonefist says he bought a Firefly 338 on a whim. What's that? Planet Tone 57s in it. Oh, it's a guitar of some sort. It's got Planet Tone 57s with 50s wiring, and he really likes it. He used an expletive to describe how much he really likes it. And Zachary's got a SE hollow body. That's a PRS. He didn't like the pickups. He put some Thornbuckers in it, and now he digs it. Awesome. Glad you're happy. Good stuff. We like that. We like to hear that. Oh, yeah. Glenn says he's going to be at the show tomorrow night in Cheltenham. How do I say that? Cheltenham. Cheltenham. Am I saying it right? It's a nice town, actually. Like I say, I had a roast here. A place called Glenn, maybe you know it, the Firehouse, I believe it's called. It's nice. It's really good. And somebody's asking, let's see how the UK's treating me. That's Sam. Really good. Having a really nice time this time around. Really great. Not that I didn't last time, but maybe it's just appreciating being out here doing this even more from the last 2 years of, what was going on. What happened for the last 2 years? It feels really good to be out playing. And I'm, seeing my friends again and stuff and making even better friends with them and stuff. So it's really fun. Really, really fun. Really fun. Let's see. Andy wants to know if I've tried a Laney 5-watt. I haven't. The only Laney amp I've ever played, to be honest, 100% honest, is an original supergroup, which haunts me to this day because I went to the store to buy it with money in hand and it was gone 20 minutes before I got there. It was an amazing sounding amp. It sounded like a great old Plexi. Every bit as cool to me as like it was made in 68 or 69. I played it and it sounded unbelievable. It was 100 watts and it was just a monster. And I went down to get it and it was gone. So, very nice. Arthur is there with the super chat and he says, Phil, he was talking to Phil X the other day about the Wilkinson trim. Couldn't find much on different models of them. I thought maybe for a second here I had one in my suitcase, but I don't actually. I moved it to my gear because I got together with Trevor Wilkinson the other day, actually, before the first show in Liverpool. And he brought me a couple different versions of it. But anyway, it's a really, really, really great bridge that it's essentially like a sort of modern, not dissimilar to like a Goto 510 or something, but it just has these little Allen screws that lock the strings into the saddles. That's the thing with it. And Phil's now started using one on a guitar and really likes it, I think. I've used them on my signature guitars since we used the Gotos for the first year or so. And then when that bridge came out, I switched to that because I just really like the tuning stability. Really great. T-Top says, have you visited ATB? That's a vintage guitar store. Well, here in Cheltenham. I have actually the last time I was here. Let me see if I heard it wasn't there anymore. Maybe it's appointment only now or something. I'm not sure exactly, but I'm going to figure that out tomorrow. Sam says, have I ever been to Denmark? He's moved to Denmark 20 years ago. Have I ever been there? Yeah, I played Denmark. I want to say I've been there with a couple different artists, but the only one I'm coming up short. I just remember going there with Chris Cornell more than once, I think. As a matter of fact, there's another Peter Thorn out there in the world. I'm sure there's plenty, but through it's just kind of a funny thing. He has an email address that's really similar to mine. So he was getting emails that were, meant for me. And anyway, we ended up connecting, and he's a really nice guy. And he still to this day will forward me emails that people are trying to see. His email's like one letter off from mine. So anyways, and I remember meeting him at that show. So it's weird meeting somebody else with your same name, Denmark. It was a Copenhagen show in 2009 that I met him. So that was cool. But Teammate says I look a bit knackered. Maybe just because I didn't shave. No, I'm good, man. I just took a shower. I'm ready to go. I am tired. I mean, I'm probably hearing my voice maybe a little bit, like just a lot of work. We a lot of travel, a lot of work and stuff like that. That's also. But I'm not complaining. I'm having a great time. Same G says Pete Thorn with an E on the end. No, his name is spelled exactly like mine. It's just the email's slightly different, right? So anyway. What else we got here? Let's see. There's a song in the set list you were excited to play. So we did Spirit of Radio. There's a nice video of it, of the very first night that we did it. The very first time that we ever played it in front of people. But which was good. I'm happy with it. It got even better after that. I think after we, the more you play it and stuff. But it's so fun to play that song. It's really, really fun to play that song. And I do a little tribute to Rush before in the show where I speak a little bit about the band and stuff like that. So it's nice. So that's always fun. I really, still to this day we do Freebird, which is awesome. And we do the entire solo verbatim of the record, and that's always really fun. How can it not? It's just so gratuitous that it's ridiculous. So it's really fun to do that. I feel like my head looks a little lopsided here right now. I gotta go like this, there, or something. What are you gonna do? At least there's still stuff up there. Who's this with the super chat? That's Martin. What's up, man? Thank you very much. Can you take us through any sweetening tricks you do when tuning Gibsons? Yeah, sure. The main one for me is the B string. And what I would recommend is tuning the B string, if it's the open note you're tuning, generally speaking, ever so slightly flat. And then fret it at the third fret, like the D note on the third fret. And you will generally find that that's in tune. So if you do a compensated nut of some sort, like an Nirvana or something, they kind of do that for you. But that's the little trick, is that it's that, generally speaking, that B. The G string and the B string are tough on Les Pauls. The G to a lesser extent. But if they're sharp at all, if the B and the G are sharp on the tuner, the guitar is going to sound bad. It's going to sound very... Oh, got a little drop out there in the video. Is it still working? Is it still working? I think it's still working. You guys let me know if in the chat if I need to back up or anything like that, because who knows about this hotel. The internet is, these hotels we stay in, it's pretty crap. You're back, says Ian. Good. Yeah, luckily StreamYard, this service I use, really is pretty good about compensating for those little inconsistencies and stuff. Okay, what was I talking about? Yeah, on Gibsons, just like fret the A note on the second fret on the G string, and then fret, I would say, the D note on the third fret of the second string, to just check those. If those are in pitch, and the open strings look a little flat, like maybe you'll hit it and it's in tune and then it falls off flat. That's right about where I do it. Generally, that's nice and sweet then, as far as the sound goes, the tuning. So, Cup of Noodles is in Santa Barbara. That's it. Stream is all good. Good. Okay, cool. I hope it hangs in there. What else we got here? Are you still using the Quad Cortex, says Brian? So this brings up a good chance to maybe explain how I'm using the Quad Cortex, because there was some speculation on a thread on the gear page that I was using it and not my amp. No, I'm using the PT15, which I love and adore, and love it more than ever. It sounds amazing on this tour. But the way that I'm using it this time is a little bit different. And it was really Spirit of Radio that inspired this. It's because of the stereo guitars, big stereo chorus rhythm part. And normally, like the last time I did this gig, I was just using the rig mono, which can work great, especially when you're in a band with keyboards and another guitar and stuff like that. But Spirit of Radio, we just do guitar, bass, drums, and Henry plays a little bit of keys as well. So I wanted to, it just wasn't cutting it, I felt like, to just only go mono. So I was like, how can I do stereo but not have 2 amps? And I've wanted to try this for a long time, but the PT15 is a great amp to try this with. If you take the direct output, you can run into a stereo effects processor then and mix in some stereo effects, and then from there, or even into a mixer, and then use a set, like you could do it in parallel if you wanted to as well. Come out of the amp, line output, right? So I'm still running into a cabinet. Speaker cabinet's plugged in, but then I'm coming out of the line output and going into the Quad Cortex, and then adding some effects after that. And when I started to do that, I thought maybe I should just do the speaker simulation in the Quad Cortex too, because it'll give me some easy tweakability on the floor to do it. The speaker simulation sounds great in the amp, but you can easily disable it with a push button. And I thought with the Quad Cortex, maybe I could easily call up a couple different cabinets and see how that sounds. Well, I did it, and it works really great. So nothing against, I love the amp and the speaker sim that's in it. I could be using the same IRs, but it just gave me a little bit of flexibility to add cabinets, and the Quad Cortex has really good sounding IRs in it. So I decided I would do that. So I'm using it on the back end to add a little bit of delay here and there, a little bit of reverb, chorus on Spirit of Radio to split into stereo, get this really great stereo sound in the PA. I'm going to get to that super chat that just disappeared there in just a second here. Don't worry. Anything else? It's really just a little bit of ambience, or sometimes a longer reverb, more dramatic reverb. Stereo delay. We do some Van Halen, and on that I've added a little bit of pitch shift because both tunes are from 1984. So I've got a little bit of stereo pitch shift going on that, and a little bit of stereo delay, kind of like Ed would do in his library with a 250/500 split, that kind of thing. And the cabinets that I'm using in the Quad Cortex are a 69 open back 212 Marshall with greenbacks, the 412 90s greenback cabinet, which is my favorite one in the Quad Cortex. So greenbacks 412, what I generally like. That's the main cabinet I use for, I would say, 85% of the show. What else? Oh yeah, a Fendery cabinet for some clean sounds. It's a 212 of some sort that's in there. I can't remember the name of it. Oh, and a Vox style with blues in it on a couple sounds, just for AC30 flavor a little bit. So it works really well, because like with even the drive channel of the PT15, we do Bohemian Rhapsody in the set, and on that I thought it might be cool. It's not an AC30, but I'll hit with a little bit of the treble booster in the Unit 67. I'll hit my drive channel, and then I'll use a Voxy style cab, and maybe it'll sound a little closer to Brian May at that point. So yeah, so that's how I'm doing all that. Okay, a couple super chats here. Here's one that disappeared, I think. Guitars for your project. So I bought the ASI 3D monitor system, used them for the first time last night at the gig, and they're amazing. That's cool. They were really working out good for me too. I'm really enjoying them. I'm not pulling them out. Last night on the last song, I pulled the inners out for the first time in 8 shows. And generally speaking, I'm like pulling them out a lot when I'm using them. And, there will be those gigs where I just go, screw this, and I'll pull them out and not use them. But the ASIs are like, it's kind of amazing, right? Like if you tell me what you think, guitars for your project, but I guess you've only tried them on one show, but you can get as much or as little of the stage as you want, and it's really cool because I can get a little less of the. They are. I will say this: they're not as fat sounding as some in-ears that I've tried, or bassy. So the guitar can sound. It sounds very clear when you just listen to them. They sound great, but they're a little bit on the thinner side, or like not big bass or accentuated. I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but sometimes that with guitar can sound a little. But because you can like turn down the pack that's sending the signal from the desk to the in-ears, and then hear your amp a little bit more by turning up the ambient signal on the pack for the ASI in-ears. You can fatten up the sound that way by getting more of the stage and the natural sound. So I'm finding it's really working. Actually, like I'm quite happy with them. Haven't had any problems with them, and I really like them. So that's cool that you're trying them as well. I'm happy about that. Okay, a couple more super chats here. I won't let any of these go. On the subject of stereo, have you ever considered using the Comet Ambicab Junior live? It's really cool. It's great. The Ambicab is a different sort of concept than what I'm doing. It would work. No, nothing saying it wouldn't work. It would work fine, but it's not really necessary for what I'm doing. The Ambicab, I think, is more like once you put the in-ears in and stuff, then it's like, because like my cabinet, imagine I'm just running a mono head and 412 cabinet on stage, right? And that's giving me the power and the kind of, I can get feedback and all that stuff. But if I'm on in-ears and in a great big place, I can add the effects after, using the line out of the amp, and just use the quad Cortex as one little thing. And then the sound in the PA is super stereo. I mean, nobody in the house is hearing, there's front fills all the way down the stage. There's great big flowing PA, and then PA on either sides of the stage too. So that's what everybody's hearing. So the way that I'm doing it is less stuff. It's like, with the Ambicab, I would have to mic 3 speakers, right? You'd mic the 412 or whatever, and then you'd mic the 2 ambient speakers and stuff. You do it a different way. The Ambicab to me is more like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like Eric Johnson and Larry Carlton, guys like that. They used to do a certain type of setup where they had, and maybe they still do, but with like 2 JBL powered monitors and their amp, and they would mic and then run into the mic the dry cab and then run into their effects and then go out to those powered monitors would have the effects in them and stuff. But that's for them on stage, and those guys don't use in-ears. So it's a different concept, but the Ambicab would work great in that as like an easier way to actually do what those guys are doing with like less stuff. So it's just a little bit of a different way to go about it, I think. More Guitars says, thanks for being with us while on the road. Hey, I'm happy to be here. It's nice. It helps me almost connect to home more, I feel like, which is weird because you guys are all over the world, but you know what I mean. Can you walk us through how you set up and soundtrack for varying videos? I think you're saying sound check. Do you use your wireless to walk out on the seats to hear how your amp is dialed? Sometimes, yeah. But I trust Gareth, our sound guy, so much that I don't generally go out front that much with this band. I know what it sounds like in the house, and he's the guy that mixed all the Pro Shot videos that came out in 2020. And he's also a live sound guy, and he does a great job. He really likes guitar, so he's a very good guitar player, like really good guitar player. So, we trust what it sounds like in the PA. I just don't worry about it at that, and it's consistent every day because I'm not miking, right? I'm using the same sims every day. So in the house, it sounds like identical every day. Sometimes I'll go out and listen. The very first gig in Bournemouth, we were doing production rehearsals in the venue. So I did go out and listen to some playbacks because he records everything. It's really great these days with digital desks. You can record, your show so easily. And then he can play back the recording, and he can basically sound check without us being there because he's got an exact version of us playing. The only thing he doesn't get is the stage volume. But, if you can play back the exact what the band is playing, he can sound check by himself. It's really amazing. Doesn't help us on stage and stuff, but I'm finding that everything is very consistent on this tour. Like I'm not asking for different things. Once we got it set in production rehearsals and maybe the next couple gigs, I haven't really made any changes. And I don't know if those guys are, I mean, he's got to fine tune the PA every day for, tune the PA for the room and stuff, but we haven't really been changing levels or anything on stage. Everything's just consistent. So it runs like kind of like clockwork. It's pretty cool. There's one more super chat there that I feel like that I haven't got to. Maybe it's this one. Old Metal Dude, what's up? So I just got a HX effects and love it, but in 4-cable method, I'm getting hum and noise through the effects loop of a J&J Junior 20-watt head. Yeah, you want to try lifting the send from the effects loop 1 you're probably using to patch in 4-cable method, right? So the send that's going from the HX to the front of your amp to the input, put a ground lift on there. I say ground lift, I mean an isolation transformer, like a Palmer isolation transformer, a Eptech isolation transformer. Samson makes one as well, and that'll solve the ground loop. Yep. I want to say another thing that I'm doing with the rig is that's working out great is this Shure Axient wireless. The price will give you a heart attack maybe, but it's the greatest wireless I've ever used. We set it up once. They do the frequency scan every day, give me frequency. There has not been one dropout with that wireless. It's just exceptional. So it's everything that it's cracked up to be. You pay for what you get, I guess. I'm just going to turn down this AC here because it's like, just turn it off actually, all the way down. Fan all the way down. Blowing right on me here. Let's see. What else we got here? Which XL6 tubes do you fancy the most? Subtech 5881s are super reliable, and they're not exactly a 606, but they're basically 606. And that's what has come in, Soldano SL100s forever. All kinds of different amplifiers. People use those. They seem really good and reliable. If you just want something like they're, bulletproof kind of tube that nobody has ever, they don't seem to, like a lot of tubes, they don't seem to have bad runs of those, which is important. They just work. Other ones you may want to experiment. I'm not sure what's going on with Chinese tube manufacturing right now, and the tubes that were coming from like Tube Amp Doctor, but they had these black plate RCA clones that were made in China that a lot of people seem to like. So look at the Tube Amp Doctor varieties, see if they've got anything interesting. JJ's seem good. I've still got those in my basement. My old basement at Roy Blankenship put them in there years ago. They seem solid. There's a few recommendations. Okay, what else we got here? EH are probably good too. I don't have a lot of 6L6 amps, so. Oh, this is interesting. Highlight for Cal 76 was "Give Me Shelter." It's a great tune. Jess and Jesse, sorry, actually, it's Rudy singing. We have 3 different vocalists in this band, 4 really, actually. So Rudy sings lead on that, and then female Jess, does the female part on "Give Me Shelter." That's a fun tune to play. Yeah, just a jam, right? Fun jam. I think we do it pretty good. It's kind of like hard to pull off the Stones and make it sound authentic, but yeah. Pete, other guitarist in Cornell Turnalat says he played everything in standard because he hated retuning. Yeah, Yogi hated retuning. He did. And he's a jazzer, so he's got theoretical knowledge to kind of make things work, and he would just be like, I just do it like this, and he'd do some, and he's got huge hands, so he would do some things in ways where it seemed counterintuitive to me, but worked great for him. And there's no right or wrong way to do things, so I would always do the alternate tunings, and I guess that works, right? And as long as one guy was doing it, and then he would do his thing, so I would do all the alternate tunings. He probably did the alternate tunings on Sun Shower, maybe. I don't know. I don't know that he did. It's so long ago now. I would have to ask him. But like on some of the acoustic tunes, I'm not sure. There's that video of us playing Sun Shower in a dressing room somewhere that you could find. And Teammate says I missed a super chat. Sorry, buddy. Let me see if I can find it. Go back here and see if I can find it. T-Mitts, where are you? This fellow right here just says, just learned Eruption properly from your old videos. Best tutorial I've ever found. Just know that I made one mistake. The pull-off flick that's towards the beginning, in the 5th position, and it's 5, 8, 5. I can play it. I can't think of it, but move the one. You'll know the note I'm talking about. It's the lick he doesn't. Somebody get me a doctor too, and he does it in a bunch of other songs. He doesn't know I'm the one. He does. It's just different position or whatever. But it's the pull off lick towards the beginning, and just the second part of the where he's actually crossing over 3 strings and using the open E string as opposed to doing what I did, which is playing all the notes on the 2nd string. Which was dumb, but I just I still was learning things about it. Other than that, it's pretty damn accurate. So sorry if that's not clear. It's the best I can describe it right now in my state of mind. Teammates, where's that super chat that I missed of yours? There it is. A couple of bucks for a pint. Thanks, dude. Appreciate it. Kind of overwhelmed with options for my pedalboard build. What are your picks for pedalboard essentials for sitting in around town? Well, it's if you're sitting in and you're going to play rock or something, I would say it's probably good to have a nice, like a small box or a Sir Riot or some kind of ampy drive that you can, because you never know what, if you're a rock player like me, that would be an essential on a board where I'm just showing up and going, I don't know, I'm going to plug into some clean channel. So I would get the best versatile, if I was going high gain, I'd probably use a BEOD, or lower gain, maybe like Dave's small box, or the Sir Riot is really good too. For such things, there's other pedals too, but good ampy Marshall overdrive, and then I would have a screamer or a Klon on there to hit if I want more gain. And then that good pedal would be the JHS Sweet Tea that would kind of cover you in all those aspects. I used to use that for a little while. It was a really nice pedal. It has a screamer on one side and a governor style distortion on the other side, sort of JCM 800-ish. That's a good one to have. So look at that if you want dual everything in one sort of pedal. I would have a delay then, an echo of some sort, and probably I really love the Mobius because it just does so much stuff well. Get your chorus and your flanger and if you need a Leslie sound, if you need tremolo, if you need a univibe, if you even need a wah, it'll work with adding an expression pedal. So it does a lot of stuff. Maybe a nice reverb of some sort, just something simple, and a tuner and maybe a mini compressor. I love the new Andy Wood woodshed compressors, great, from Sir. It'd be a board yay big, maybe too big for the most important things on there would probably be for me the something like the Sweet Tea be good, and then an echo. If you could go and play, do a lot of music with just a couple pedals like that. Yeah. Ace said that YouTube didn't give him a notification of the live stream. I don't know why that happens sometimes. I'm not sure. Don't know what the answer is to it. But anyway, you made it. We're here. There's 342 people online. Great having all you guys here. Thanks for all the super chats, for being here. Glad I was able to do it the usual time this week. Started even a little bit early. How has been playing the 412? I'm trying to choose between 412 and large 212. It's great. It's kind of gratuitous. I mean, it sounds awesome on stage, and it's got the thump and everything. I can feel it over there, which is nice. But a 212 is cool too. I used a 212 on the last tour. I've got in-ears in anyway, so it's a little bit. I suppose it's gratuitous. Whatever. I have a few of my signature Sir 412s now, and I'm just going to keep one here, I think, for gigging over here and stuff. So just so that there's a rig here, yeah, because they're expensive to ship and all that. Joe says in-ear monitors are thin. Yeah, they can be thin. I don't really like them sounding fat though either. Like when they have too much bass, too many drivers, it doesn't. I don't know what guitar sounds like when you add too much bass to it, or it's too much hyped low end. I can't tell anymore what the tone sounds like. So that drives me crazy. So I'd rather have them on the Sensophonics, the parent company of the ASI monitors that I'm using. They are advocates of not having too many drivers in their in-ears because I think they think that it is hard on your hearing when you get the into the drive 10 drivers, 12 drivers. Some of these have like 20 drivers. It's just like, what? Like, those drivers for my good old. I did a lot of work with drivers with in-ears with 3 drivers, for years. And I tried a set once that had 12, and they sounded terrible to me. I couldn't tell what was going on with them. And that company said, "Oh, you'd probably like ours that have less drivers than more mid-range." I said, "Well, let's try those," and they sounded way better to me. So just know that generally speaking, I don't really think you have to spend so much money and get these in-ears with crazy amounts of drivers in them. It's going to change your world, and not for guitar players. Maybe drummers or bass players, or if you're doing house music or something, you just love, like, I don't know, something with tons of low end for some reason. But yeah, for guitar, like the good old UE7s from Ultimate Ears were fine. This all said, I've never really liked in-ears at all, so it's always kind of a compromise for me. But these new ones are these ASI ones. If you haven't checked them out, check them out. They're the ones that, for those that don't know, with the microphones built in to the earpieces, so you can blend in ambient sound, and they sound really good. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Hey Pete, I got a Strandberg. I think you mean Strandberg HSS. He recommends single coils to go with your Thornbucker Plus. Oh, recommended single coils to go with Thornbucker Plus. I would go with the V63s. I really like those. Those are my favorite ones right now. I will say that in that Sir that I've got, that some of you have seen with the the one that's in the thumbnail for this video, it's got V63s in it, and an as yet unannounced bridge pickup. And I really like the V63s. If you're going to pair an amp with a Soldano SLO, the V63s are short pickups, by the way. Sorry, I didn't say that, just to be clear. If you're going to pair an amp with a Soldano SLO, what would you think would work? What would blend nicely? Well, do you mean for an AB rig for clean and dirty, or for 2 amps at the same time? With an SLO, I would think a good old Marshall, like something plexi, would be great, or an 800 or something that was maybe a little modded to clean it up a little bit with the low end bloat. But that would be an amazing combo, I would think. Because the SLO has its own tone and it kind of sits in its own frequency range. And I really actually like it. I think it's a cool sound. But it is missing a certain thing that Marshall does, and vice versa, So you probably like 2 of those together would just be a monstrous rock guitar sound. Like, it's kind of just like Adam from Tool uses a diesel or dual rectifier with an old super bass modded Marshall. That concept is really cool to me for a big fat rock guitar sound. So I would think something Marshall. But you never know. You could pair it with a Vox and it might be amazing. I gotta turn off this air just altogether. It's like driving me crazy. And the air is like blowing right on you in a hotel room, and then you're like getting like, it's not coronavirus. It's the air conditioner blowing on my head. Let's see. What do we got here? I'm 95% switched to my Helix floor from a massive pedalboard. Any thoughts on keeping or letting pedals go? I usually regret letting pedals go. Keep them for a year or something, and then if you feel like I'm never going to use these things again, then let them go, I would say. It's like I'm a hoarder to some degree, I guess. Dave Friedman would back me up saying that about myself. But it is okay after not using something for a couple of years, I think, to probably let it go. But yes, that's low end on the ASIs. Plug my customers into the output of the ASI body. Plug my customers? I think you mean your in-ears. Everybody's using Siri now, I think, right? And it never works. It drives me insane. Let's see. And left the A size dangler on my neck to test. Sounded awesome. Plugged my inners in. I'm not sure what that means exactly, but you can just write a chat like what exactly it is you're saying, and then we'll understand. Uh, let's see. What's the silver HSS that you're playing? I should talk a little bit about it, shouldn't I? It's in the thumbnail picture for this video. Sorry, I'll show it to you. There it is, right there. Isn't that sexy? Come on now. Look at that thing. All right, let's talk about something else. It's a prototype. So it's something we've been working on, and I'm just really over the moon about it. It's super cool, I think. So more on that later, but you can see basically what it is, right? It's a John. Obviously, it's got a interesting guard, bridge pickup ring combo, and I think it looks really great. He worked really hard on that guard for getting it to flow and everything, and I think it's pretty sweet. So. And Steven says the new Sig has an ebony board. Softly dark looking, isn't it? More for fashion than anything, I wanted to try on this guitar, like I say, which is a prototype. We tried some different things, and I wanted to try an ebony board because I love the way they look. I just, especially on that combo of, with the color and all the silver and dark stuff going on, and I just think it looks cooler than rosewood. Well, I love it. It feels great. It sounds great. So there you go. It's yeah, just trying to do something fun and new. Steven's asking about the pickup in it, and I'm not going to say, but you might be right on the money. What else we got here? There's another super chat here. That is Tim. Thanks, Tim. Tim's just saying, hey, what's up, man? Ian says that doesn't look like a Thornbucker. It's a what they call a pickup. I love the design. Tried some different stuff on this and came up with that. I just think it looks super cool. It's classy. Classy. I like classy. Yeah. Bulldozer says no EMGs in that silver H. So that's not the same guitar. It's a different guitar. This is a new prototype that I just picked up before the tour, and it's really, really, really cool. Can you split the humbucker? Says TEC. You know what? I don't generally like to split bridge humbuckers. I go series parallel instead. I think parallel sounds a lot like a single coil. It's got that snap and that, but it's not as thin sounding as the split, and it's still hum canceling. So I have in my current signature model, a push-pull that will take the bridge pickup to parallel, but you can tap the neck pickup. That works okay for me, the neck. But the bridge, I like the sound of it in parallel. I got that from Andy Wood. He had it in his Sir Monitors. I thought maybe I should try that. I tried it. I was like, this works great. It balances with the single coil. It's just about perfect. And it's still hum canceling. There's no downside. So, yeah. Put a black ring around the humbucker. Well, but there is. See? See? Oh yeah. Okay. What? There's a super chat there that I missed. I think. I'm gonna find that. In the meantime, I'm gonna look at this. Or did I miss it? I don't know. Maybe I didn't. Just wondering if if one is able to run a Variac on an amp with power scaling. I don't know really. I guess you could, but it seems almost like you're double scaling because power scaling is lowering the voltage. Power scaling is, generally speaking, you're lowering the B plus voltage. I sound like I know what I'm talking about. I don't, but that's what amp techs say, to the power section of the amplifier, just the output tubes. Oops, so a little dropout in the video there. Hopefully it's still working good. Anyways, I don't know that you want to do that in two different ways. Like you could try the Variac. What would be the point? Is it more for the tone of? I guess what you're maybe looking for is the drop in voltage to the preamp tubes, which can give the amp a little bit of a different feel and stuff as part of the Van Halen thing. Stuff. Um, I don't. It's probably okay as long as you rebias the amplifier. Um, so, uh, but I would probably ask a tech, and I don't. If you've already got scaling built in, seems like a lot of that's dropping. Uh, when is the next UK tour scheduled? These days it's like, when is anything happening? It's hard to say, but generally speaking, these guys like to do the tour in January and February. So, generally speaking, you're back, says Ben. Yeah, hopefully it just runs smooth from here on out. See, we got 337 people online. Great to have you all here. JJ says the new prototype looks great. I was thinking of specing something similar. Might wait to check it out if and when available. Yeah, there will be more info within a couple weeks on this. I just kind of, I wanted to bring it out on this tour and just kind of tease it, see what people think. What are the single coils in the Silver Sur? This one has V63s in it, and I love them. It's the original Landau Classic pickup, and then Mike they stopped calling them the Landau Classic. Now it's just called the V63. So really, really good. Been watching some of your old shows, says Jeff. As a result, I got a mini BE coming Tuesday. Great deal on Guitar Center. That little amp is fun. They're a great little fun thing to play at home and rock out in your living room. Maybe get a little 110 cabinet for it or something. What is your favorite overdrive pedal? I mean, I like a lot of different ones. I'll tell you what I'm using on my board right now. I actually added a Wampler Bell, which is like a version of that other green pedal, the Nobles. So I'm using that actually on a few songs in the set. It works really well for a kind of a transparent, not mid-humped overdrive, more like an amp breaking up slightly drive. I've got my Rocket Archer on there, which I still use all the time, and I've got a Maxon Apex 808 on the board as well. And then at the end of the chain, I have two different boosts too. I'm crazy. I have a Zio, which I did the video for this week. Which, anybody want to ask any questions about that thing? We could talk about that too. But I've got that right at the end of the pedal chain, last pedal in the chain. And then I've got at the beginning, first pedal in the chain, I think, is a, maybe right after the freak out, is a Unit 67 from Grybell. I owe them a video. They sent me a pedal that I was supposed to do a video for, and I haven't gotten it done. I feel bad about that. So Grybell, if you hear this, I'm sorry, and I will do it. It's for the new version of their Vibe style pedal. Steven says that he just picked up a loud Landau DeVille for a specific gig. Need an attenuator. Don't want to use a mic. I would go. I mean, I just really honestly, man, I think the attenuator to get is the power station. There's no reason to. If you want a passive one, my favorite is the Iron Man from Tone King. They're not inexpensive, but they work really well. And there's a junior version. I don't know what the wattage is rated at. There's a bigger one that'll handle pretty much anything, and then there's a smaller one that's maybe only up to 40 or 50 watts or something. So you could look at those. That one works really quite well for a passive attenuator. But beyond that, I would just get a power station from Fryette. It's my choice for doing what you want to do. Yes, it's a little bigger and stuff, but it does so much, and it's such a great addition to a guitarist arsenal. If you've got any big heads you want to use, If you want to do any direct recording, it'll do, it's a really good load box. So you can just take the DI out and run it into an interface or whatever. You can add effects in the loop, which you can't do on something like, not even on an Iron Man or one of those types. Got an effect loop, so you can patch in some post effects. It's just a really, really great thing to have around. So I always recommend it. There's no free lunch, and it just works really well. It's a little more expensive than some people might want to spend, but it's not as much as an old Faustine was, for example, even 10 years ago or more. Eric says the good old THD hot plate works great. I was never really a fan of that. I mean, it works okay, and I used it, but it does rob a lot of top end signal, even from the first click. The first click's okay, and it works better with certain amps than others, but it's not in the same league as a power station. It's just not. It doesn't sound as good as the best way to do attenuation is really a load and a reamp for a number of different reasons, but it's really the best way, I think. Power stations is the best 500 pounds that T-Top ever spent. Yeah, it's a must-have. I mean, it's just a no-brainer. Everybody here with one, right? They all totally awesome, worth the price. I agree. It's just great, Another +1 for the hot plate. The hot plate's okay. It does it. I mean, it'll do it. It's not, but it's not the same, man. It's not as transparent as it's just not. It's decent, and everybody's like Paul Gilbert uses a hot plate. There's lots of people who use hot plates. I've used a hot plate in the past. It's just fine. Probably do your whole life, playing career using a hot plate, and make money, and no one would be disappointed. So, Zio Luxon sounds great. I agree. It's really, really, really good. Really good. Down to the bottom of the chat here. John, what's up, John? How are you? Any way to run stereo out of a power station with my BE? Stereo out of a power station. You could you need to add another power amp, which you could do with like a solid state power amp or something else. You wouldn't need two power stations. Although it would be the best way to do it probably, but you'd have to take the line out on the power station to another stereo though. How would you do it? You could add a chorus only on one side of the signal and it would sound stereo. Yeah. You could add a delay in or some sort of effect, like probably an echo in the loop of the power station. Take the line out and then add another delay that was set to a different time. Will it work? Because the loop is post. The loop is pre the line out, so that won't really work. It's kind of hard to do that. You would kind of need two of them to really do it properly, I'm afraid. Or you could just use it as a load box, then go out to effects and something like a matrix and use that to power. But then you're not using the tube power amp in the thing. You could do that though. There'd be other ways to do that. I don't know. It's tough. Sometimes these questions, I feel like I wish I had a better answer. That's a good question for Friedman, says Eddie. Yeah, I agree. He would probably tell you need to, because there's no, right? It's a mono power amp. So, you should make a stereo version with like maybe a lower wattage or something. Yeah. What's this here? John says he have a Marshall 2061X head, volume and tone. Great sounding amp, I think. I always really like those. It's too bass heavy for anything but the bridge pickup. Thoughts for a fix? You could lean out the preamp. Have somebody like Friedman do the 0022 thing or whatever out of the input stage, or just do a mod to it, and probably just tune it in a little bit. It'd be a fun amp for a mod platform, actually. I would send it to Dave and tell him what's wrong, and he would probably make it rock. I heard a little Origin that he did, a 20-watt Origin, and it ripped. It was a really, really good sounding when he was done with it, I have to say. And I heard a Plexi that he did, the what do they call them? The vintage, the new 20-watt. They make a JCM 800 and a Plexi version of it. He did one of those, and it was like great sounding when he was done with it. Actually, really good sounding. Just send it to him and have him tune it in for you. Um, have you used Bias Amp or Bias Effects? I did a video for them years ago, maybe 2 videos, but I'm not super well versed with the positive grid stuff, to be honest. I haven't done too much. Um, yeah, yeah. Which mode of the source audio was your favorite? The low cut. But then, even when I was doing the video, I was experimenting with some of the other sounds. I was like, "Oh, that sounds really good too." Like even just a straight up JFET sounds really good, kicking the front end of the amp. Um, and the Echoplex sounded really good. And the studio one sounded really. They all sound good. It's like a really good sounding pedal. I just kind of bond with the low cut boost for like a um, saturating the front end of the amp sound without, it keeps it tight. I like tight, so it's like I think when you're kicking the front end of the amp with gain, it's good to keep it tight, or it gets bloated, and I don't like that. So the low cut boost. Notice your Quad Cortex edition. What's that for? Um, Actually, it is for time-based effects. So I talked about this a little bit earlier, but I'll sum it up again really quick. I'm taking the line output of my amp, right? So the PT15 has a load box and then has a line out, right? That you can send right to the PA. I'm taking that line out and running it into the Quad Cortex and then splitting stereo out of the Quad Cortex to the PA. And this was a late addition in my rig that I just got together the week before I had to send my gear off for tour. And it was all born out of we're playing Spirit of Radio in the set, and Alex Lifeson's tone is so huge on that. It's actually probably just doubled with chorus, like guitars, the rhythm tone. And I wasn't feeling like I was achieving the sound with just mono, because normally I run a mono rig in this band. I could do the same kind of thing if I had 2 PT15s here, and I don't. So if I had, that would be a great way to do it too. And then I probably wouldn't need the Quad Cortex in the way that I'm using it right now. But it was just an easy way with less stuff to achieve the sound, because you can run out of the line output on the amp, go into the Quad Cortex, add some stereo chorus, add stereo delay, add reverb, whatever you want, and then split XLR left and right out to the PA. And I ended up doing the speaker simulation in the Quad Cortex too, because it just sounded really good and it was working for this tour. So I disabled the ones in the amp, which is really easy to do. It's just a push button. So now I've got a straight DI output of the amp, full range, going into the Quad Cortex, adding the speaker sim, and then splitting into some stereo effects after that for the PA and the monitor. So that's what I hear in my in-ears. But I've still got the cabinet on stage coming just speaker right out of the amp. And so there's none of that Cortex effects or anything, obviously, are in the speaker cabinet on stage. Just what's in the PA and in my monitors. It works great. It sounds awesome. I love it. So yes, you're right. I've got some redundant stuff on my board, and I'm not using the H9s actually that much right now on this tour. I'm using them on a couple things. And I'm still using, I've got the Strymon timeline back on my board, the delay, and I still use that for just mono echoes and stuff in the loop of the amp. But I've got the H9 set up in true bypass mode right now, and much of the time they're switched out of line. So it's just straight, through wire bypass or whatever. Going through them. And I would say that the delay and all the reverbs I'm doing just about are in the quad, except for a couple things with spring, because I like the spring in the H9. So I'm using that on a couple things in mono, because spring is generally mono anyway, right? And I'm doing some solo echo and stuff in mono is still coming out of the timeline in the loop of the amp. But like we played 2 Van Halen tunes in the set, and they're both from 1984. So when I'm splitting into stereo in the quad, I've actually added a pitch shifter on each side for a little bit of that 1984 flavor. And I'm also doing a stereo echo 250 and 500 millisecond split with just a little bit of that ping pong delay going on. And I just use that one sound for the 2 Van Halen songs. And it sounds awesome. Sounds great. Yeah. I'll hit this super chat that I missed here. Got almost 400 people online. All you guys, what's up? Any way to run stereo out of a power station? Oh, I already answered that one. Okay, where was the other one that I missed? This one. Alex, would the Zeo be a good choice in front of your PT15 for an early 80s metal sound? I think so. I mean, I love you can kind of hear it in the video that I did for it, how it saturates the front end of the amp in a way that isn't tube screamery. It's more like mod. It sounds like kicking. It's really good for that low cut boost. It's aggressive and cool into the front of the amp. A Jose mod is a tube stage in front of a plexi, with a lot of the low end leaned out. So it's just straight up tube gain that's hitting the front end of a regular Marshall circuit. And that's kind of what you're doing with this. You're just doing it with a pedal. You're cutting low end out of a boost and then adding gain and kicking the front end. It's just a solid state boost. Kind of, it's not dissimilar to what's in the PT100. We have a MOSFET boost in there. So that's like, instead of doing it with the tube, because tubes can be noisy. So the reason we went with the MOSFET boost in the PT100 was because it's sounds tubey. MOSFET is sort of known for sounding like tubes. Quieter, and you can then kick the front end of the amp with that, and it sounds really cool for and there's a lot of low end leaned out of that circuit out of the MOSFET boost in the PT100 too. So it's a similar thing. So yeah, I think it'd be great choice for an early 80s metal sound. Now, I show it in the video that the tube screamer does the more mid forward thing. You can hear it's just got a bit more to that tube screamer character that they just have, which is great for solos, but for rhythms it sounds a little soft to me. Still works, but and an SD1s, they don't have. I don't. Do you guys hear this? I don't think the SD1 has the same mids as a tube screamer. The forward mid thing that a screamer has is more aggressively mid-rangey, and yeah, So I think an SD1 is a bit more of that classic metal 80s sound. So. But we're talking about different ways here to hit the front end of a Marshall with gain and not have it fart out, by having a lean boost essentially. Do you like Pete Thorn? I do like Pete Thorn. I like that first Pete Thorn record. That was cool. I haven't really listened to him for years though, so I don't know what he sounds like now really. But that one that came out 20 years ago was really cool. Clarifying earlier typo. Yes, plugged my custom molds into the through output of the ASI body pack. Left the stock ASIs around my neck for the ambient feature. Oh, I see. Oh, okay. So where does this leave you, guitars, for your project? With feeling like the ASIs are these in-ears I'm using. They've got their own pack that allows you to add ambience into the signal. That's interesting. Hearing my custom. So in your molds that are plugged into the through jack, do you hear the ambience still? That would be my question. No, just not sure about that. Let's see. And you want to get the custom molds you're saying in this one right here. Got it. Yeah. So sorry, there's probably a lot of you out here that don't know what the hell we're talking about. We're talking about these. If you're interested in a nice set of in-ears that allow you to add in ambient sound with the mics built in, check out ASI. Great stuff. Have you tried any of the Russian AMT pedals? I don't think so. I want to say no. I don't think so. I'm sorry that you gave me a super chat, and I don't have a great answer for that other than no. Eric, been real tempted to get one of those SV20 Plexi amps. Anyone have a stock one and like it? They're great stock. I mean, it sounded good, but after Dave modded it, I thought it sounded really good. They look kind of janky on the inside the way they're built, but whatever. I guess they work and they sound good, and um, pretty cool. It really sounded like a good Plexi, when he was done with it. Who was the girl on the bus? That's Jess. She's one of the singers in the band. Great singer. Terrific. She sings a few of the songs in the set on the tour that we are on. What else we got here? What strings are you using on your 25.5 scale guitars? I use Ernie Ball 9.5 Primo Slinky gauge. That is my string. I may go to 9s one of these days, just like as I get older, I'm like I don't want to work that hard. Lazy hands. What do you think of line 6? I have a fire hook, and it's okay sounding once you get it dialed in. I like some line 6 stuff. Like my favorite stuff is the Helix, the HX Stomp, the HX Effects. The good old Pod XT was really good for what it was back in the day. And let's face it, the delays, like the Echo Park, was fantastic, as well as the Big Green delay. Those are staple pedals on a lot of people's boards. The Mod one too. I used their Roto machine with Chris Cornell and played many gigs doing Black Hole Sun with that rotary sound. Rotary sound. Yeah. And so they have a lot of good stuff. I use Primo Slinky too. Not too skinny, not too fat. Yeah, that's the way I feel about them. They're really good. Yeah. Fire Marshal Bill says, "I'm allowed to ask this. Why aren't you playing your Shure signature standard?" Well, I have my prototype up, so I wanted to show that. I only bring so many guitars, and there's some things that I need to have a dual humbucker Gibson for, which they don't make, right? Well, they made the Aura. Maybe one of these days I might get one of those. But anyway, so there's just some gigs where it's like it's like somewhere that's like they basically let me do what I want to do, but it's like you have to play a Les Paul on certain things, like when you play Thin Lizzy, when you play there's just some things, the Skinner tunes, the AC/DC. I brought an SG. Come on, I just feel like it's like the right thing to do. But then there's a lot of tunes where it just kind of doesn't. Like I need a telly too for some things, like the Stones, and I'm playing it like Joe Walsh played a telly in Hotel California, so I'm playing a telly that's even the same. Oh no, I guess it's not the same color as his. But anyway, 70s looking telly. So I brought my Shure Alt T for that. But then I've got this guitar, right? So this is prototype that I put out. So anyways, I had so many double humbucker guitars with this is actually my only guitar with true single coils in it that I have on the tour, which I needed, So I was going to bring another, which is my signature standard, but it's just the music. It's classic rock. It sort of dictates. You know what I'm saying? It's like I wanted to play the Destroyer on Freebird. I wanted to play it on "Give Me All Your Lovin'" by ZZ Top because it's cool to play an Explorer-looking guitar on a ZZ Top song. It's just part of the thing. So I play this guitar probably more than any other guitar in the set, and this is a prototype that I've been working on. So that's obviously, between that and the Red Tea, which makes a few appearances on Hotel and on "Give Me Shelter," and a couple other songs. American Girl, I'm playing the Red Tea. So I'm using the Sures on most songs out of any of the guitars, and then the other ones make an appearance. The SG on one song. Actually, it's only on, we'll do an AC/DC song. So at the beginning of the set. So is the Run Suras all sold out? They are, but there's John. There was one that he's said for a long time he's going to finish one for me. There's one there that's not finished, and it had a flaw in it, so you couldn't. But to him, what a flaw is like to the rest of us in the world, we were like, what? But they have very high standards at that company. So he says, well, I'll finish this for you, but he's very, very, very busy doing other things. So maybe someday he'll finish it for me. It's there. I would have it out here 100% if it was done, because I've got an old R9 that I'm using out here right now that I play on an Aerosmith song, and on. So anyway, I hope that's a good answer about the. I can only bring so many guitars, and I felt like that I've got the two Surs, and I know I didn't bring my signature. I know I should. I almost sound guilty saying it, right? But I brought this one because I wanted to. I was very adamant about, like, come on, we got to get this guitar finished so I can play it out here, because I'm really excited about this guitar. It's a prototype, like I said. There'll be more news about it coming soon. It's just exciting, So that and the Sir T, that's all I could kind of get in carnet and getting it over here. So it's expensive to sing guitars and stuff. So if I could have 14 guitars, I would. But does that make sense? I hope so. Are you using the Cinvertech N5 on your board? I'm not actually. I'm not. I thought about bringing the Scream Honey, but I ended up with a couple different things instead, like the Zio and Maxon. I just really like the sound of the Maxon Apex 808 actually for a few things. For having a screamer, I haven't had a screamer on my board for a long time, so I brought that for that sound. What's your favorite brand or model of cables? I've really liked Providence cables over the last 10 years or so. They're really nice Japanese-made cables. Cordial makes some great cables that I'm using as well. They're from Germany. Like really, really good cables, actually, the Cordials. So those would be the two that I would recommend right now. Yeah. What else we got here? This is good advice from Naive. Steve's not naive at all. As you get older, work smart, not hard. Yeah, that's true. The older that you get, you feel more mortal, I think, and realize that you have limited time and that so yeah, you want to work smarter, for sure, for sure. Prototype looks great. Thanks. Yeah, I love it. It's really, really, really good. Really, really, really good. Is James playing your signature guitar? No, and actually, I may have one sent because he's having some issues with a guitar that he's playing, and so he might end up playing one of my signature models. I need to talk to him about that actually, because we had discussed that maybe I would get one sent off, and he would have it for like we do "Bat Out of Hell" by it's a much bigger song over here than I ever knew it to be in the States. It's not a song I consider like an epic classic rock song in the US, but evidently in the UK, great big song. So we do that and people go crazy. And it is fun. It's actually really fun to play. It's this epic journey. But anyway, he's playing a guitar and we got to do the kind of motorcycle sound, the whammy bar sound in the middle of the tune or whatever. And he's really frustrated with the tuning on this guitar he's playing right now. So I might have one of mine sent over this so that he can play it on that, and that'll be my signature, probably the blue one that he played on the last tour, my blue signature. Yeah. Does your new prototype have a switch to put the humbucker in parallel? Yes, it does. It's got the pull tone pot. Can you get all those needed guitar tones from your signature models? Yes, I can, but part of it with this show, I mean, yes, if I only, like we've talked about this before, if we do fly dates, I'll probably end up using something modeling and that one guitar, or maybe two guitars, and it'll be my signature model, probably with the two humbuckers, or maybe this prototype, maybe one of each or something, so that I can do a whole bunch of different stuff and I wouldn't worry about this whole thing. But part of the show is the look. Like okay, we're doing two Van Halen songs, I'm playing the Van Halen guitar. It's that kind of show, it's like you've got pictures up on the screen behind you of the band. When we do Hotel California, maybe this will make more sense. When we play Hotel California, there's a video of the Eagles playing behind us with Felder playing the part of the show is that a lot of the songs are synced to video. So you've got the video going and then you got us playing the music. So you've got the live video of Eagles, and like Joe's playing a telly and Felder's playing the white double neck, right? So we do that. I mean, I'm playing a telly and James is playing the white. So this is why I bring the guitars that I brought, because part of it is that it's fun to do the look of the, for the even if you're not a guitar player and you come see the show, which most of the people obviously aren't, they're just music fans, that love rock and roll. Part of the look of an SG when you're playing AC/DC is cool, it's just as cool. So that's the thinking, I think. And the Explorer on the ZZ Top and stuff, it's just cool, I think. So does it make sense? This isn't a band that dresses up like the artists, we don't do that stuff. But it's cool to pay a little nod with the guitars. It's a classy way, I feel like, to pay a nod to the original artist and stuff. Maybe that you guys are making me think about this because I haven't like really articulated it in words, but it's important to keep appearances as Eli. Yeah, I think it's a nice tip of the hat, a nice nod without dressing up with some frigging wig or something on. You know what I mean? Because that's just I'm just not down with that. But it is a nice tip of the hat to play the instrument because we love guitar. I love guitar, so that's like a cool way to, you know what I'm saying. Phil X has a neat perspective on that, like with the way he got his that SG recently, but it's like so it's like him, but it's got the Eddie stripes on it and everything. That's cool. Or like his Strat that you've seen him show up with recently, that's all red, but it's got sort of like a window, a hole through it where you can see the stripes underneath, you know. And then he does his signatures. I like that. Like it's like we're paying a tip of the hat to the, or we're tipping the hat to the artists, paying respect to the artists. Uh, with the guitars that we're playing and still kind of doing our own thing. You know, he's really good at that. But will you make a video of your rig for this tour? Yeah, I thought now that we're sort of settled in, I can do that at sound check and stuff. I'll probably do that within the next couple of weeks. Put out a rig rundown of some sort, simple one. You know. Yeah. Scott's asking how the food's been with the on again, off again. Everything's great. I find the food over here actually is quite good these days. I mean, like, um, Marks and Spencer, you know, is a grocery store chain over here, and they just have so much stuff there that's like, am I back? I think I'm back. Hope so. Luckily, we've made it this far. I'm gonna go in probably about 15 minutes, just because I'm meeting some of the other guys for dinner, so I'll stay for a bit. I'm happy we made it this far with the internet working okay. It seems. Um, yeah. So anyway, Marks and Spencer. I'll go there and I'll buy food during the day for just, you know, kind of cheaper food. But then I eat out a lot too. And you know, Indian food here is amazing in this country. There's lots of other great. I mean, today I had an amazing Sunday roast actually. Uh, just didn't do the Yorkshire pudding, which sucks because I want to eat that, but I can't. 'Cause of the gluten. But anyways, let's see. We're back. We're back. Brief pause. All good. Good. Yeah. There's a super chat there I'm going to get to. Thanks for all the super chats today, you guys. You're too kind. I appreciate it. This will help me pay for cider while on tour. Any advice on how to make my guitar sound more forward and present when recording using impulse responses? I find they can sound a little like they have a blanket over them. What IRs are you using? Because generally I find a lot of IRs sound kind of bright. Own hammers would be an exception. They're kind of more full-bodied generally, and maybe a little bit on the darker side sometimes. Although they've got a huge range of sounds there, but they tend to sound more full than some of the others. If you just go to Celestions, and I mean, there's no lack of cut in their, say, 412 greenback, SM57 balanced or fat. Those are cutting to me. Give those ones a try if you're finding you don't have enough cut. Yeah. Okay. Eli says, so you guys are playing with a click? Sometimes, yes. Quite a bit of it is actually to a click. And they really painstakingly went through to sort of tempo map, because we're synced to video, so it has to be synced, So a lot of those original songs were not cut to a click. So they do move. Spirit Radio is interesting that way. It's all over the place tempo wise. So that was a little bit tense, like trying to get it together, but we actually got it together and it ended up working really well. Now it's fine, but it wasn't an easy thing to do, I don't think. What power supply do you have under your tempo board? I don't remember. I think it's oh, dude. It might be the Kiox one, I think, on that board. Same one I have in my studio. The Eventide sells them, I think that's what's under that board, but I'm forgetting right now. I think that's right. I hope I'm right about that. I'm pretty sure. Okay, what else we got here? Any advice on getting used to different neck shapes? It's a funny thing. I know what you mean. When you switch from main guitar to other necks, it can be like a little hard to get used to different necks at first. But I don't have a that hard of a problem with it. I can get comfortable with almost anything unless I just really don't like the neck. If I'm like, this neck, I am fighting all the time, and I have had a few like that where it's just like, I just don't end up liking it. But it is weird how when I was doing the Van Halen set with Mitch and I was playing those EVH guitars a lot, like during that month or something where I was practicing for that, I got really used to that wide flat neck. And then I would go to other necks and be like, oh, this feels weird now. Like the wider, flatter Charvelli profile that they have. So you get used to it. But then, you play other ones and you come back around. I will say this. This is one thing I can say. I'll show this one more time. It's beautiful. The Sig guitar prototype that I've got out here. This has a different neck than um, my current signature model, and it was something that I just wanted to experiment with. But if you guys have ever seen the green, the green classic I have, that's Cadillac green, it's got a really nice neck on it that is a little fatter, 60s kind of feeling neck, but it's got almost just a hint of a V down at the bottom. It's a sexy neck. It's great. And I showed it to John, and he said, "Oh, I think this neck was one that I hand shaped," because he goes, "I used to go out in the shop and I'd pick them up sometimes and I'd do them myself, shape them." And he goes, "This feels like one that I did, I think, back in the day." So anyway, it's a unique neck, and I thought, let's try and digitize it and put it on this guitar, and that's what we did. So the other one's got a rosewood border. This is an ebony board, and it's a great feeling. It's got a butcher block finish on the back, and it's cool. So occasionally people have said about my signature guitar now that they've mentioned, I think the neck is like, I don't think it's thin at all. I think it's very comfortable. It's my most comfortable sort of surd neck shape that I've found, that just like I can order a guitar with that even C slim shape and I know it'll be playable and wonderful. So I really like it. But I thought, let's just try something different, because I've always liked this other neck on the green guitar too. It's not too big, not too small. It's just right. Peter Urban is in Calgary, and he says, trying to decide for an amp switcher, any experience with transparency of the signal in front of the amp. Does it change the, sorry, correct my neck. Does it change the tone at all? They generally have a buffer in them of some sort. The Pete does, and yeah, I will say with the Pete, the one thing you have to be careful with is, and probably this would be most of them, if you're plugging your pedal board into the amp switcher, it's then got a buffer circuit in it, and then it goes out to all the amps, right? You can hit it too hard and it'll crap out. And you have to hit it with a lot of gain to do that. But like, let's say like a really loud fuzz or a clean boost, and you're just nailing it. At one point it will, like because it only handles so much voltage going into the chip. There's a buffer in there. But you really have to be like attacking it with an unusual amount of gain to do that. So that's one thing to be aware of, Peter. I have no reservations with the Pete, though. It's a terrific product, and it's great sounding. And I don't think that one caveat that you shouldn't have any problems with it. Friedman's got an interesting one in his shop now too. That's that one rack space unit that seems to work really. I think it's one rack space, and he really likes it. It's not the Pete; it's a different one. So you might ask him. He would be another one to ask. But I really like the Pete for switchers. If you're just doing 2 amps, you might look at the radial. Yeah. Thanks, Pete. Cup of tea. Thanks so much. Good stuff. Good stuff. What else have we got here? Do you subscribe to the older receiver? Don't pick up sounding different like the J? I don't know. That's a good question. Some people say they do. I don't know. I've never compared like an old JB to a new one. I have an old JB in my old Jackson that's been in there since the 80s. It'll be an interesting video to make. Get a new one, get an old one. See if we can hear a difference in the same guitar, much like I pick up a video since I have an old one. Just try that. Friedman was talking something about an old JB and how the coils weren't. I can't remember if there slightly unbalanced or something like that. That somebody was claiming that they were slightly different, but I don't remember the story exactly. You might ask him on Tone Talk if you guys are watching. I don't know. I mean, I tell you what, with the Seymour Dunk, or sorry, with the DiMarzio, with the super distortion, I mean, putting it in that, when I did the pickup shootout, it sounds really similar to that old Mighty Might. And then I have an old super distortion, and it's basically like the same sound. So like I was like, I'm not that picky to where I would like be like, oh, I gotta have the old, like if I'm getting a Duncan for that sound anyway, it's kind of a modern. Where somebody's just texting me about dinner. See, will do. See our singer. We're gonna go get a bite here in a minute. Hang out for another. Let's go another 15 or so. 10 or 15, and I will be ready. Probably closer to 15. Great show today, says Peter. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Thank you for the super chat. You guys are too kind. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll be seeing any show in our pedal video clips this week. I'm going to do probably a rig rundown. Will be the next kind of thing I do. Because I get a lot of questions. There was a little bit of like confusion about the way I was using the quad Cortex, and people were like, "Why is he not using his signature amp?" I am. I'm just using the quad Cortex after it. So, using a hybrid kind of rig. Happy Sunday. Thanks for always doing these shows. I appreciate it. I like being here. I do. Let's see. Tone Talk was last night. Jen Majura is on the next one. Maybe you can drop in. They probably don't want me to drop in. I don't know, Jen. I met her once, but I'd be happy to drop in on a Tone Talk one of these days. Maybe I can just be a guest on the show again. It's been a long time. But yeah, so sorry, I already answered that one. Thanks, Peter. Definitely will do a rig rundown very soon. One of the next videos. What do you think of Bob Taylor's efforts with the ebony trade? I don't know anything about that, actually. Fill me in. Tell me. Educate me. Okay. Magic Man says, I've never seen any guitar with an ebony neck. It probably wouldn't. It's a very kind of, ebony's it's not like an entirely like super difficult wood to work with, but I don't know that a neck would be, it kind of chips, I think, when you're shaping it and stuff. And it's obviously used on a lot of fingerboards, but it might be weird to do a whole neck out of it. Kind of like it's weird to do a whole neck out of rosewood, I feel. I don't know. There's just certain things that don't seem to make sense. What else we got here? We'll drop out the video there again for a second, but we are back, I think. Wayne's green bass looks like puke. I like it. That's a funny story, actually. He needed a bass for the tour, and Fender hooked him up with that green bass. And it was like that was the only color they had. And I think it's cool. I mean, I think like it's, it's really cool, but it might not have been his first choice. He's played a black bass forever. This is this green bass that he has for some tunes that are in E flat, but yeah. Charvel with ebony neck or maple. I don't know. It depends what you like. I mean, it's down to the look and the. I think there's a lot of similarity between maple and ebony as far as the tone goes, actually. To be honest. So I think it would be down to the look for me more than anything, So you would have to decide what you like, more. What's your favorite one to play on the CRS tour? I really enjoy playing Spirit of Radio a lot. I really enjoy the whole back end of the set where we're doing a whole bunch of fun rock tunes, one into the other. The whole last part of set 2 is really fun, but it's all fun, actually. It's all really fun. Yeah, this says the really old JB has a hotter screw coil. The current ones, which are wound even. The old JBs have wire that has benzene in the coating that's now banned. That's interesting. So there's some info that I don't have. This is what I heard. I think Dave was saying that the old ones had a slightly unbalanced coil. I was like, really? I've never heard that. But I don't know. Now you're the second person I've heard saying that. So There you go. Might be a slightly different sound. Please buy Wayne a tin of Hammerite. What's that for the green bass? I don't think it's horrible. I like it. I think it's cool. I don't know. I like metallic green stuff. I mean, I like Steve Vai's. I grew up watching Steve Vai play like that. Deep green guitar is cool looking to me. So, have a beer on me. Speaking of any favorite beer in the UK, thank you guys for the super chats so much. Naive Steve and Cole. I don't really drink beer because of the gluten thing. So it's cider for me, which is, you know, um, favorite ciders. I mean, Aspal, pretty good. Might go have one of those right now. I think if I can find one. It's all the usual suspects, I guess. I had a really good one the other day, but I can't remember what it was called. It was a local kind of, but there's everybody. It always seems like it's Strongbow, and I like Aspal, I guess, for like the typical. Is that how you say it? I think so. Eric says he prefers the feel of ebony to anything. I mean, some of my favorite guitars have been ebony boards. My black Les Paul Custom that I just love, and I have out here right now is one of my. I play it on the E flat tunes, actually tunes that are down a half step, and it's such a cool sounding guitar. I really enjoy it. So I'm playing it on a Who song, and I'm also playing it on. We do Total Eclipse of the Heart, which I didn't think I would enjoy, but I actually am enjoying playing it. And I do it on that guitar, and a Thin Lizzy song on that guitar. So I use it on 3 songs in the set that are in E flat. Your top 3 favorite guitars? Oh, geez, I don't know. Probably my signature guitars, just because I could just, if I had to just have one guitar for the rest of my career, I could do a lot of things on those guitars. They just are great tools. Either this new version, this prototype, or the original version. And then I would say probably favorites. It's hard to pick. I mean, I love my 335, but it's not actually that versatile. I love my old Strat. I mean, my old Strat is just every time I plug it in, I'm like, why don't I play you more? You're magic. So there's a couple different ones. I guess I should go. It's 12. I'll tell you what. I'll go till 12:55 here. 5 more minutes, then I'll split. Until I see that. Yeah, meet you in 10. Okay, 5 more minutes, then I'll go eat. Don't want to push it too late here and miss dinner. Okay, what else we got here? This sounds good. My drunk friend is back from Iraq and has been here for 3 days. How do I ask him to leave? He loves you. He also says you need to play Gibson Les Paul Studios from the early 90s. Nothing wrong with the Les Paul Studio from the early 90s. It's the same guitar as a standard, which I have. I have a 95 standard still to this day that you guys have probably never seen, but it's still a guitar that I own. Did I mention I'm a hoarder? Cool guitar. It looks like the one that Dean DeLeo played back in the day. Wine red. Anyway, I digress. Same guitar without binding as a Les Paul Studio. They're just fine. Nothing wrong with those guitars at all. Yeah. What's the cider recommendation we've got here? Angioletti Italian cider, 6.7. That's pretty strong. Okay, I'll check that out. Sounds good. Sounds like it'll mess me up. Which mini compressor would you recommend? I used the Wampler Ego for a long time. Really good. I'm now using the Sir Woodshed Andy Wood compressor. Great. Love it. Really good. I think they sort of started with Carl Martin style, and then because Andy was using that for a long time. So really great sounding. The original Carl Martin's a great compressor, but it was very big, and they kind of worked off that, came with their own thing for Andy. What is the Dumble sound? It's a Fender with more gain, to me, right? Fender with a warm overdrive, but its own thing. Dean played Les Paul Studios. No, Dean had a standard like mine, wine red standard that I've seen him play it in videos and stuff. He pretty still has it. Um, yeah, yeah. How about the Keeley Studio compressor pedal? Nice compressor. I like Keeley compressors. The Keeley Mini too. I did a video of recently, I think, on my channel. That was good. It's just a two knobber, really simple. Couldn't be easier. Keeley's known for their compressors. You know, it's what put them on the map. So nothing wrong with those. Have you ever compared your destroyer to the Phil Collins destroyer? No, but my second band I was in with a friend of mine named James Tokarski, he had that destroyer, the Phil Collins destroyer, and it was cool. I mean, I always thought it was really cool looking with the three pickups and all that. Different guitar, you know. It's a wasn't it bolt on? I think his was bolt on. I don't know. I don't remember. Phil had maybe Phil's wasn't, but anyway, you know they changed the body shape and all that. But my destroyer is the mid '70s version with the Japanese sen wood and very much like an explorer of the day, but you know, just built out of different wood or whatever. Great. I love that freaking guitar. It sounds every time I put it on during the show, it was actually just like this thing kills, you know. Really, really good sounding guitar. Just a rock machine. The guitar Phil played was a set neck. Yeah, that's right. And it had block inlays and an ebony board and stuff. But I think James had they made two versions of it. I think they made a bolt on that was more like the budget version of it. And that's the one that my buddy had. I don't think he had the full on block inlay one. Maybe he did. I'm just not remembering right. This is a long time ago. So, hi from Ontario. It's bloody freezing. Well, hang in there up there. Get a couple more minutes here, guys, then I'm going to split. What do I think about the Helix effects? Does the 4-cable thing working well? Yeah, I used it on multiple. I'll put it on my shoes while we're talking so that I can get out of here on time. I used that thing on multiple tours, clinic tours. Where the hell is my shoes? What did I do with them? There they are. This is me in hotel rooms, losing things. Went to Asia with it. All of the states, when doing clinics all over the place for sure. All over Europe, HX Effects and PT15. Great rig. Even when I came here, the first thing I did with Classic Rock Show, I did a television show where we did a medley of tunes, and I just brought HX Effects and used it with the PT15, and it worked really well. So I think. Coffee Fund, you guys are too kind with the super chats. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Your rig had 2 PT15s. Shipping caps, very great chat. Thank you, man. I appreciate all the kind comments. I do. I don't have 2 PT15s actually. It's a little risky, but I don't have a backup one out here. I have the quad Cortex I have set up with 1 or 2 backup sounds in it. So if everything went to hell, I could always go to that. But let's hope that doesn't happen. I would love to have another PT15. I'll make that happen eventually. But I've just got the 1 amp right now. It's super reliable. I'm gonna knock on this desk right now that nothing will happen with tubes or anything. Knock on wood. Yeah. So what I will probably end up doing is profiling. What do you call it? Capturing the PT15 into the quad Cortex and making a second set of presets that are the modeled version of what I've got right now with the full rig. It wouldn't be the same because I wouldn't have a cabinet running. It would be like but you know, sound in the PA would be there, and it would be cool, I think. But I love having that. I want the amp on stage, you know, obviously. So let me be perfectly clear that I'm still such a fan of having tabs and tubes and all that good stuff. Anyway, I digress. I should probably run, guys. Any last? Jeff says I can borrow it if I need. Wow, that's nice of you. I don't want to take it on 30 dates though and haul it all over the place. So I do have tubes. I've got a matched set of tubes and stuff and fuses and stuff. So if we had a problem, I could do that. But John made it so. The one great thing about the PT15 is that, besides many great things about it, but one of the things is John made it run cool so that it's got tons of headroom and everything, and it's a lot of volume for 15 watts. But it's not pushing the hell out of the power tubes. It's like the voltages and stuff are such that it's, once again, knock on wood, but very reliable. You know. All right, everybody. I wish I didn't have to go actually, but I got to go and get some dinner because it's getting late for a Sunday here, and the restaurants will close and stuff. So I'm gonna go eat with Jesse Smith. But this has been really fun. I appreciate you as always. Appreciate the super chats and you guys being here. And next week, I'm not sure what our schedule is exactly. So take a look in the old map tour here and see if it tells me. Uh, so where we were at next Sunday. We have a show next Sunday. So next Sunday, let's do another on the bus thing. Everybody hanging out. How's that sound? That'll be the 23rd. Yay, fun times. With cider and hummus. All right, everybody. You're the best. I'll see you real soon. Take care. Thanks for watching my programs. Over and out.